Yes, thank you, Cousin Pat. We appreciate you for doing that intro. And I tell you, today has just been one of those technology kind of days. You are
Yes.
rolling on the road with Dr. Kimberly. I'm excited about our guest today, Mr. Robert Johnson. I'm sure many of you know him from around town. He's a busy, busy, busy man. But today, we're talking about living healthier ever after. You guys have been with me for 5 years. You know, I think just about everything there is to know about me when it comes to my health and things that I have experienced. And yes, friends and neighbors and family members of Rolling on the Road, I am back in the medical boat again. And so, as you guys are in this boat with me, going on this journey of some health challenges that I'm experiencing, I want to do this differently. I want to share with you step by step what's happening and learning how to live healthier ever after. We hear people talk about, oh, I want to live happily ever after, fall in love, or, become a zillionaire, whatever your goal is that you feel is going to make you live happier ever after. But if you don't have good health, it means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And there are many people who can attest to that have money, that have influence, but it didn't change their condition. And there are some things that, as people of color, we don't do and we need to do. Ways that we eat, the way we think, the way
Mhm.
we act, the way we react makes a difference on how healthily ever after we're going to live. So, we're going to do several segments. They may not necessarily all be in a row, but Mr. Robert Johnson will be our resident expert for this as we go through the process and I begin to share with you what's happening with me medically and others that will come on board and share their stories of what they've done to live healthier ever after. Mr. Johnson, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you. Very good. Well, how about yourself?
I'm fine, thank you. So, if you could, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with you're a holistic practitioner. How did you get started?
So my daughter was born 1 pound 7 ounce, 1 pound 4 ounces, and she was the size literally of my hand, and it forced me to look at some things in the healthcare industry on how they were servicing her, and I some of the things I appreciated, and some of the things I thought that weren't hitting the mark, and so it caused me to make sure that during the process of her being born and after for her to be healthy, which she's 28 years old and healthy today, finishing up a degree at Bowie State University. She had the opportunity to live a fluent life, and because of some of the decisions we made for her health early on, dealing with colostrum, her mother's breastfeeding her or not, making sure that she did indeed get breastfed, and why we chose to have it, even though her mom was in the hospital at that particular time. And so it caused me to deeply go into the holistic area because I was not satisfied totally with the services that we were getting. Fast forward, other people were having issues in my family, and when they would go to the medical community, as we know it today, they were getting maintenance and not healing. And so because I
Mm,
wanted to make sure that they had healing, or they were getting out of the issues that they found themselves into, I found that usually people will look at what the symptoms were, but not the cause. And so what I found is if you just looked at the symptoms, well, sure, you can treat the symptoms, but that don't mean that you're going to stop why the thing that you're treating happened not to happen again. And so that's
mhm.
why I started to dig in, and I'm suggesting that Every family have a holistic practitioner. Just if you just the person who have a bottle of golden seal, or some of those remedies that grandma had, and then start to study into that. And that's what I did. My background is actually, my degrees are from the University of Maryland, Morgan State University, and College Park. And it's in the area of family counseling. But right now, I'm operating as a licensed builder in 8 states, and I'm doing prefab homes that incorporate healthy, scalable homes for people who need to have their vital signs read as soon as they walk in the door. So instead of it being the IoT, the Internet of Things, we call it the Internet of Medicine, where a person can now be online with their medical needs being met by what we built into the infrastructure of the housing. And so we're excited about the new project that's coming forward with that. And we've been practicing what we've been preaching in our new builds, but also as it relates to holistic medicine, making sure that the whole person is being looked at, and not just some medication that's going to make you feel better because of a symptom that you have today.
See, and I definitely can attest to that. I got a spinal injection on last Thursday, and 100% of me from Thursday today had said, "Oh my gosh, I wished I had not gotten it because the side effects seem to be greater than the efficacy of the medication." But today, I have to admit, that I'm glad. Now I'm glad that I got it. Yeah, I have to say I'm glad because I can definitely start to see the difference. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday took 6 days for the side effects to wear off before I could actually feel, the efficacy of the medication. And I don't think that they know all the time because people don't come back and say anything. They do those trials. And a lot of times when they do trials with medications, they don't use people of color or indigenous people because, of
Oh
course,
boy.
of what we have experienced in the past. So they don't know how those medications are going to affect us. So
So
they
let's
just give
let's look
them.
at you as a whole person.
Hmm.
So was it a cortisone injection?
Yes, and
So
it was
usually
it was
those are
injected. It was injected between my C7 and my T1.
okay. So what they don't tell you is that's a hormone-based medication. So what hormone does is it actually creates an artificial situation where it's blocking the pain for a specific amount of time. But over time, they don't tell you that it could delay your ability for growth in that area of actually osteoplastic and osteo bone density growth. And so one of the medications, and I don't usually speak about natural medications without knowing the situation, I would probably suggest something like Comfrey. It's a medication that you can rub on the outside just by adding vitamin E oil. It'll add back some of the cartilage and tendons to the area, and it'll grow your bone back to the area where it's needed perfectly. But cortisone, it allows you to be put in a situation where in another 6 to 9 months you're going to be depending on that again and again and again. And so, one of the things that I hate about holistic medicine is that once you heal a person, they don't come back to you. So you have to have a real end game in being in this business. But with the pharmaceutical infrastructure, they have it where you can come back and come back and come back again. And that piece is the piece that kind of is the other reason why I got into it, because I saw that my daughter was kind of getting dependent on the things that the medical infrastructure gave to us, and in order to get her off of those things, we needed to do something natural. And so that's why we did it. And so I applaud you, because a lot of people, first of all, they don't share what their issues are, because it's the testimonies like yours that allow us to kind of say, oh, I have that same thing. And now that we're talking about it, we can see just in this one small incident, which to you, I'm sure is not small, but I'm saying as it relates to all the medical issues that we could have. And know that in 11 to 90 days that it can be totally healed. And that's what I move toward. How can we get you out of the situation of total healing? And I don't know, we you and I have never talked about your medical issues, but I'm glad that you were able to be transparent about that because not enough people in our community are, specifically males or not. And we end up having a lot of prolonged issues that take us to the end of our life when we could have just fixed the simple cause of the matter, stop the cause, and then therefore the symptoms are gone. And so I'm excited about being on your show for this reason because I know that you're a person who's committed to Michiganders and making sure that they're healthy and being transparent in that process.
Thank you. Really me, I need you to tell me where you are watching from. She has a comment. She says, I had a medication done through a shot a few weeks ago, and the medication never gave me an issue before. It only took you one time, and this one time, which was only the second time, the medication gave me hives. They had said they had no idea why I'm not a really big medicine taker, but that scared me. Okay, so if I read this correctly, really me had an injection as well. I didn't have an issue, but the second time she took it, oh, all right. Really Me is from Delaware. Hey, Really Me from Delaware. Welcome to the show. She's on the east side of the United
I
States.
love Lewistown, Delaware. Being from Maryland in the area. I visited the Bay Area a lot of times, so I enjoy the area. What I would say to that is, are you on any additional medications? Because there's something called polypharmacy. What is that? If you add something like vitamin D or zinc or magnesium, and those products when they are mixed together, it's called polypharmacy. It means that they may be okay when other people take them, but if you're taking them together, and I'm just not naming those things, I'm just randomly naming medications to say that you are on a medication that's new. And so polypharmacy is when the medications work together and they may give you as an individual a side effect response that they may not give anyone else. And so don't be dismayed about it. One of the things that you want to do is just make sure that if you've added anything new to your regimen to check what that thing is. Sometimes even down to the difference of adding a different brand. If your medication was from from a Moderna, but now you're getting it from a Pfizer, they may have small differences, and those small differences could be the reason for that side effect. The other issue is that you've come to what's called a titration level where your body cannot cipher through that particular pharmaceutical medication, and it means that you are full of it and it's going to do you more harm than good. And so one of the things you can look at your side effects and see if hives are one of them. If it is and you've never had it's usually because you're at your titration level. So hopefully that answers your question.
She says she does take vitamin D. Now, I think that's a very good point that you just made concerning being at your level. Titration. I like that word. Being at your level with that medication. Now, what I'm going through is that I have supposedly all of these side effects to all of these medications, and so I'm a veteran, as my rolling family knows. I'm a veteran, and I am going to get. Well, I did it already. It's called a pharmacogenetic testing,
Mm-hmm.
and I gave blood on Thursday. I did that first before I got my injection, and they're going to check my blood to see what medications work well with me and what do not. Because it doesn't make any sense that I have this. I promise you, I have at least 2.5 pages of different medications I've had over the years that I have a reaction to. But what it is that just like there's side effects for each medication, I just happen to have, all five of the you know side effects. And if they persist for me, more than 3 to 5 days, okay, we're not taking this medication anymore because now it's not helping me, in whatever the situation that I'm taking the medication for. So that automatically gets thrown out the door. And maybe you need to take it for 10 days. Well, Dr. K is not going to last no 10 days with all these extra symptoms on top of everything else.
Right.
No,
So
we're
one of the things, no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, I thought you were
yeah,
finished.
no.
So one of the things that I see is with the level of titration. Let's say, for instance, I'm 5'11", 210 pounds. Well, somebody taking the same medication that's 5'4", 150 pounds may not be able to take the medication as prescribed like I am because their titration levels may level out a little earlier than me. And so this is why doctors give you what's called the concentrated version. They'll say 5 milligrams or 2 milligrams or 1 cc or 2 cc's because they're trying to actually curtail it to your physical bill based on your ability, your liver's ability to cipher out any of the side effects of the medication, but actually get the goodness of what it's trying to heal simultaneously. When that happens, we see a couple of things. You will have side effects that you've been taking it for a year, you've been taking it for 30 days, you hadn't have a problem, but all of a sudden you do. That's usually the reason why. A lot of side effects and a lot of doctors don't talk about this part of medicine because they just let you gut through it because they're not concerned because it's a rash or just because you're dizzy for 5 minutes. Hey, they'll just tell you to sit down and then that it's better to give heal from the thing that you're trying to heal and deal with it for 5 days than it is to stop the medication and then um, not deal with those symptoms until you can find out what the issue is. But this is what nobody talks about. What happens if your liver can't, you know, can't cycle out that pharmaceutical drug in a timely fashion? Can you start to get, you know, a metastasification of polypharmacy in that area, and then it begin to metastasize in your liver as polypharmacy? Well, the answer to that is yes, it could. The other issue is something as simple as a fungal cream for your toe, or if you take it manually. When you take those pills, sometimes they affect your liver immediately, and so the doctor should be ordering a liver test for you when those things are not when those things are said to have affected your liver. The other piece, and this is what I'm excited about now in medicine, is that they're finally acknowledging that in a physician's death reference book that you can take pharmaceuticals, but you can also take nutraceuticals. What are nutraceuticals, Rob? Nutraceuticals are natural medicines that are created by the same pharmaceutical companies that heal faster. They don't have as many side effects, and they're not the doctors are not paid to give you that particular medication. And so you can usually look in your PDR, the physician's desk reference book, and if somebody, for instance, and I'm not messing with metformin, but it's the one medication that I find that most of my clients are on, and they have problems with comorbidity issues. And so I deal with metformin a lot, and one of the things that you can look at is, well, if you're saying that you have pre-diabetes, which I don't know how that became a thing, but but if you do have it, then they'll give that to you. But then, are there other things that you can take in the nutraceutical area that will give you solace to eliminate that? Because I'm not a medical doctor, I can't discuss that, but I'll make sure that you know that you can ask your actual doctor to make sure that he's giving you the option of nutraceuticals when you're in the med room, actually accepting what he's giving you. Sometimes they will feel some type of way because you're not the doctor. They are. But this is what I want to say. Remember, it's your body. You're the person who has to live with it over time. You're the person who has to feel the side effects if it doesn't work, or if it does work, but the side effects are rampant in your issue in order to get healed. So it's better to take the nutraceuticals, in my opinion, based on the individuals who have come to me and asked for me to help them with their healing process. So
Okay.
that's kind of the
Uh,
thought.
really, me says the medication I took, she only did it twice, and that's why it was so scary for her. And that is understandable. that
Can you
when you,
say that one more time? You kind of went out just for a second. I apologize.
it's on the screen. It says the
Okay.
medication that she took. She only took it twice ever.
Oh, yeah,
And that's why it was
that
so
is a
scary for her.
scary issue. Yes, that is scary. That's very scary. So one of the things is that if you're having some of the strong side effects, then you want to immediately give your doctor, your primary care physician, a call. Let him know. Then he can either lower the doses, or he can put you on alternative medicine that will address the issue the same, but with not the same side effects.
Correct. The time is now 4:24, 24 minutes after the hour, and you are tuned into Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly. And our guest today is holistic practitioner Mr. Robert Johnson II. And you can see his email scrolling along the bottom. So if you have any further questions outside of now that need to be answered, you can always email him and he can reach out to you. And if you are watching via GRTV 25, the date is August 19th of 2025. And thank you so much for watching us on GRTV 25. This is so important for all of our communities, but for ours in particular. And I'm glad that you brought up metformin because that is the definite go to, no matter whether you're pre diabetic or you are full blown diabetic. That's the medication. And the side effects of it are worse than, to me, having diabetes. And I said, they must get a really huge check, is all I can say,
They do.
for them to continually to pass that medication. And Jardiance is a much better, kinder, gentler medication on you and on your body, along with eating a better diet. When it comes to type 2 diabetes, and it's something that we can kind of control. But the part that really is sad are the is not just having the type 2 diabetes, but what it does to your body, shutting down your kidneys. Oh, really me says my brother is pre-diabetic and he's looking for solutions. Now, while we are not doctors,
Yes.
so I just want to give that
So
disclaimer.
I'm here to help you with some ideas. Let me help you with some ideas. So it's so funny because I was just thinking about ideas I can talk about, but then someone asks. So first, I'm just here to help you with your healthcare needs. I'm not a doctor, but holistically, what I've seen in the other people, I've helped about 170 people heal themselves. And in that number, about 90 of them had diabetes. About 88 of them no longer have that particular issue because of this. I asked them to look at this one thing. I asked them to get what's called a parasite test. They got a parasite test from their doctor. The doctor showed that they did have parasites. Specifically, the dye test as it relates to the parasites because it can illuminate once you're taking pictures of the body and it will show where they are in access, meaning where they are clumped up in areas. And so what I've seen is that parasites like to stay right in front of the pancreas when looking at the pictures. And one of the things that we know that the pancreas is responsible is for, the glucose or what's called the sugar release in our bodies. Well, that particular system is controlled by itself, but if you have the nutrients being absorbed by the parasites, then your pancreas cannot work correctly. So one of the things that I've asked clients to talk to their doctors about is the elimination of parasites. Now, if you go to the NIH's website and begin to do a little research on parasites, you'll see that eating meat causes you to have parasite, and having pets causing you to have parasites. And if you're in a relationship with a person who does either of those two, or in any of those two variables, you could possibly have parasites. And what we've seen is in that 75% of the people, just with getting rid of their parasites, they found that they were diabetes type 2 free. And so that happened in 3 to 11 days. The other two, what we did was talk about their holistic diet, whether they were taking sugars, where they were saying, well, Rob, I don't drink pop. But if you're eating bread, the carbs are sugars. If you're taking in noodles and macaroni, that is sugar because starch turns to sugar once it is metastasized in your body and you neutralize it through your nutritional process. And so if you know that, then you can now cut out a lot of the sugars initially to actually see. Now, there are some studies, there's a 50-50 study that shows that a person can still eat noodles and still be perfectly fine, but then another person can not eat noodle, I mean, eat noodles and not be fine. And so that depends on the individual person and how the actual food is created and how much of that particular food you're eating. And so we want you to be mindful of those things. But if you're in a pre-diabetic situation, that's the first thing I will talk about. The second thing I will make sure is what in my environment we call New Start, making sure that you have access to fresh air, grounding, making sure that you walk outside with no shoes on your grass so that your body can ionize itself. And then another process is making sure that you get sunlight. Vitamin D is the number one fighter of a lot of diseases, specifically when it's lung based and it's pancreas based. And we can argue that diabetes is an issue that affects your pancreas because it stops your sugar from being produced or the lack of sugar being produced, either one. And so I would start there with your physician to ask those questions. And then if you're on any pharmaceuticals related to diabetes, ask for a nutraceutical. Now, I've seen about 80% of my clients who have asked for nutraceuticals, they've reported back that their physician had a little problem with them trying to ask for a nutraceutical. Why do you want that? Blah, blah, blah. And then when I have them explain to their doctor that they're just trying to take a naturopathic process that he has the ability to subscribe to them through the PDR, that they can do it, he kind of calms down. But I want you to know that you're going to have that small amount of friction up front because they're not used to people challenging what they say. And it's your body at the end of the day. And that's what I'm telling all my clients who work with me. And that's why I try to look at you as a whole person, not just a medication.
Can you define for us what a nutraceutical is?
So a nutraceutical is a medication that you can take like a pharmacal medication that is more naturally based in its products. So
Can you give an
pharmaceutical,
example?
uh, let me think. Yes. So in a situation where we used to give Ritalin for ADD,
Mm-hmm.
my background is family counseling. So a lot of times I had to get IEPs ready, etc. One of the things that the reasons why they subscribed the person, gave the person to me, was that they needed IEP. We wanted to look at secondary issues and how they can fix their issues with ADHD and ADD when it was a thing. And so they would prescribe the child Ritalin. Well, the nutraceutical for Ritalin is Melissa. It's a natural herb, and that natural herb is way more effective in calming the child down and getting the child to homeostasis, which means an even point for them to be able to sit down and pay attention in school, than it will be for them to take Ritalin because Ritalin actually exacerbates the issue. Some theorists say that chemical one chemical compound away from crack. And so we've got a situation where our kids may now be on crack and are expected to sit down and pay attention, whereas now you're taking a natural nutraceutical in the form of what's called Melissa, and then that particular herb allows you to calm that child down the same way. And so we've seen the evidence of children getting better grades once they're on Melissa. We've seen them have less issues as it relates to for instance, having incidents with their classmates, talking back to their teachers, and just being more calm in class. So that's kind of a solid one that I've actually seen for myself. The others have been one offs, meaning because that person has specific issues that was holistic to them, it worked in their situation. And I can't recall any of those right off the bat, but I've seen them work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We talk about here on the show being your own advocate. And this is an opportunity to really research and find out and ask those questions and have them prepared when it's time for you to go to the doctor. Because we all want to live healthier ever after and don't want to say, oh, okay, I've been taking this for 10 years and find out that it's not doing me any good because of the side effects. And, you got 20 days to live. I know that sounds crass, but there are situations and things where that has happened because they're being paid, and we all know that, to push certain medications.
So, what I've found is just in the overall addition of medicine is that if you have an alkalized body, now some medical doctor is going to jump on and say, "Hey, Rob, your blood is always alkalized. If not, you wouldn't live." That's true. But I'm talking about the nutritional processes and the metastasis and the anabolic processes that happen to get to nutrition that gives your blood that stability. It has to kind of take from your body's processes in order to stay alkalized. But what happened to the area that it took from? The area that it took from usually is found to be weak. And that weakness is where disease is most rampantly found in your body, where there is lack of an alkalized body. So, one of the things that I've suggested is that you begin to understand um, acid versus alkalinity. That's just the basic pH scale, a 7.34, which your saliva test or your urine test could tell you whether. I've seen people go from having a regional area of cancer to metastasification just because their acid levels were high. So they were in the 6 point something and not in the 7 point something. And so when I've seen the same person raise their urine samples or their saliva samples to a 7.3 or higher, there's a nice little niche in that 7.34 area that they've almost healed themselves of having those issues. And when they go back to the doctor, their issues are undetectable. And so that's promising for me because now I can say the data and what I'm seeing is that where your mind is in your healing process, the people that are working to support you and help you stay focused. One of the things that I always say, if you have a high medical issue, it's because you weren't being accountable with your medical issues, and you need somebody else to look up to. So, for instance, I have no known medical issues, but I still have a person that I'm accountable to for my medical awareness. Hey, did you get fresh air? Did you get sunlight? Did you do these things? If not, you're going to be on the cusp of being unhealthy. And every time I don't account to someone, I find that my health is slower and less robust. When I'm accounting to someone, I'm robust. And this is what we have to do. Listen, we can fight about the Lions versus the Bears, but we can't fight about who we need to have in our circles to make sure we're being accountable to our own self, our own health, so that the people who are around us that love us know that we're being responsible and we want to be in their lives for a longer period of time. And so that's what I push. And it almost gets personal because when you have a child who's 1 point, my daughter was literally the size of my hand. Her hand could not fit around my pinky when she was born. It gets to me even when I talk to it a little bit. But as I began to nurture her to health, she started to pass all of the people. Matter of fact, her name is Summer because she warmed my heart. We changed her name, singing Jesus Loves Me to her in the incubator. And her saturation levels of oxygen went from 59% all the way up to 96%. It warmed my heart, and I called her Summer, even though she was born in the winter. Funny thing. And We changed her name to Summer because of for that reason. And so when I say that this thing is close to home, it's really close to home. It's really close to home.
Yeah, I had twins that were born early like that, and they were just as small as your daughter. And that was just at the first and foremost, how do I
Hmm.
get to them what they needed? And of course, they
Right.
said breastfeeding was the number one thing I could do for their survival rate. So I
The,
was excited about that.
the
That
first two
I
weeks of breastfeeding, there's something called colostrum.
yes, correct, sir. Guess what? I know a
What's
little
that?
something about that. I do know about that, and I was gonna.
Oh, go ahead. No, I don't want to jump in. I thought you were finished saying what you're saying. Go ahead.
No,
So one
but
of the things I
but
like
but
about
really, but
colostrum,
really, but really, me says that's a beautiful story.
thank you.
But you do when they look at you and tell you that medically there's not a lot that they can do, or they can just do just enough for them to hold on. You do start thinking outside of the medical box, and you begin to pray and you say, okay, Lord, you need to show me, you need to tell me. And I saw the numbers change when I came in, and it wasn't just all medication, but speaking to them, touching them, and affirming who they were for them to stay on this side and not
Mm,
leave. I
yes.
saw the difference. And I even had the opportunity to have a nurse who said that she would take care of both of them, because normally they don't put two critical care babies in the same cubicles together. And I was actually stationed in South Carolina at the time. And the nurse who said she would take care of both of them, she talked to her partner, because they worked 12 on and 12 off. So it was one, two, three, it was four nurses that worked together. And they all talked, and they said that they would do it because this nurse happened to be from Sparrow Hospital in Lansing. And I said, look at there, God had a ram in the bush. And so they put them together, and I was able to sit between the two of them and to be able to speak life to them every single day, reading scriptures, praying with them, touching them, speaking words of life, and just to watch their little bodies respond, and their eyes would start to flutter, because they told me that they would be blind, they wouldn't be able to see, but to see like they were trying to open and their eyes would never open was one of the things that he was saying to me.
That's all what they told me. Mm,
And that, oh, they'll never be able to open up their eyes. If they do, they'll be blind. And just to watch their eyes flutter when I would speak in response to my voice. And then as they would start to open up their eyes and look like they were trying to focus in on, where is she? Where is she? So the other part of this, when we're talking about, holistic lifestyle, is our affirmations. How are we speaking to ourselves? How are we speaking to the
mm,
situation? It definitely makes a difference. The Bible says that we have the power in our tongue to speak life or to speak death.
mm.
And I'm definitely not going to take your words to me of death to say
Not happening.
it's all medication and it's everything that we say, and not a combination of things that could help. So I saw how speaking positively, those affirmations and praying and singing to them was making the difference. Their little bodies just lit up. I would watch their stats on the monitors change. And I remember them calling me, telling me, you know what, we need you to come in. We need to have a parent meeting. Okay, what's the problem? You can't do that anymore. Excuse me? They're not going to make it. So you
Right.
just need to accept that and stop doing all of this extra. They just need their rest to die. I said, who needs rest to die?
Right. Just
No.
let them restfully die. Yeah, I've gotten all of that.
It's
My
like,
daughter,
yeah,
by all accounts, shouldn't be here.
they are now, they're 10 years older than your daughter. They are 38 years old. 38
Wow.
said that they would never be able to have children. Well, first of all, they would never live, never have children, never have a life. And between the two of them, they have given me 8 grandchildren.
Wow.
They have given me 8. And I'm here to tell you that, do I believe in holistic care? Absolutely. Living witness, even down to myself, but just to see it first, hand through my children, even loving on them. I mean, they wanted to give me these pills and things. Oh, this will help them, make them grow. I was like, mm-mm. They were shocked when I took them home. They were just a little over 4 pounds each when I got to take them home because they were doing so well. And the way I loved on them, being in the South, you talking about some soul food and
Oh
loving,
boy. Oh boy.
they loved on them. And before you know it, they ended up being these big, robust little balls of fire. They just truly, truly began to thrive. And I think that in our community, we don't have enough positive affirmations.
For sure
What
we don't.
what do you tell, people when they come to you about their situations? I mean, as far as how they're supposed to look at it or how they should.
Well, here's the first thing. If a person is not doesn't have the ability to implement a system that I'm suggesting to them to help them heal themselves, I don't work with them. Because if you can't even do the things that you came to me for, then I'm not going to commit past you not being able to do those things. But one of the things that I do in the psychological realm of my studies, we have what's called the spokes in the wheel. So if you think about a wheel, it's kind of connects to the bike, but then there are spokes.
Hmm.
I always look who are connected to you in your healing process. And what I find
Yes.
is that most people don't have a person who they can talk to about their healing. They'll tell their mom and dad they need to go in for a procedure, and the mom and dad are worried about the procedure and will ask them if that thing happened like it needed to or if it didn't, but not really the nuances of what's going on with the issue of why they're
Hmm.
going in. And so when you can talk about those things with someone who is in your natural cohort group, we'll call it, then we find that 95% of the time the person gets healed. When the person doesn't have that support group, and this is as it relates to your question on affirmation, when they don't have that, we find that they only make it about 5% of the time. So we're finding that healing comes from not just, hey Rob, what is the medicine or what is the healing, what is the process, but also I ask them what is the support group that they have around them in the area of, like you said, affirmations. And one of the things that people can do is say, bro, I wouldn't do that if I was you, or I would do that. And these are people who love you, care about you, at the same time are listening to the intimate details of what your health issue is, and then are giving you from their gut feelings. That doesn't sound right. I wouldn't. And so now you have a broader chance to now take on these four. I have 5 people that I look to, and I like to think my health is perfect. And so I would at least say 5 people that you can just call, and now they talk to me about their health too. So you don't want it to just be one way. And then in your cohort group, you can kind of rub elbows and say, hey, I'm holding you responsible. Let's go take a walk on this Sunday. The other thing is, have you drank your water today? What type of water are you drinking? And then the other thing is, have you got your sunlight? Have you walked outside with no suit, no shoes on, no socks, just to be filled from the ionizations of what the process of grounding can do. I've had people who would ground their beds to the outside and their back pains were healed just
Mm.
from that. So they would actually ground a grounding wire to the ground of a copper rod, connect that wire, and sleep in that bed, and they've been healed. And so just some of those simple things can keep you responsible. But the affirmative, the affirmations from that, not only does it heal you just because of the association, but it also gives you people who you can talk to about other things. And specifically, men of color, we're isolated a lot. We provide
Mhm.
and we protect, and we profit if we're in the church to our families, but rarely do we get anything else from our family except what we love them for. And so, what I'm seeing is, as the prophets, the protectors, and the providers are getting older, they don't have a cohort group that's able to kind of speak into them, and they're found lonely, alone. And I see that their health is going down very quickly because of that lack of association. So affirmations are important, not just the kind words, but also the gentle touch. Also, I'm just here. I don't even know what's going on, but I'm just here to support you and stand by you. Important.
Yeah. We have a
These things are
comment.
important.
We had a comment. It says, I was told I wasn't supposed to be here. I would have never had children. My son is 26, so God has the final say. Thank
Yes.
you for sharing
Yes.
that. And yes, God does have the final say. We definitely believe that here at Rolling on the Road, that God has the final word. The time is now 50 minutes after the hour. It is 4:50 p.m. and time is really going by very, very quickly.
Wow, that went by so quick.
Um, and people always love it when I tell them that the show was an hour, and they're like, "Oh my God, what are we going to talk about for a whole hour?" I said, "Trust me, the time will go by very, very quickly." And when I have conversations with people, they are so passionate about what they do and how they operate. I said, "Trust, you'll fill up the hour and then some, and we may even go over." But I want to say thank you because this has been just a great time of reflection. I do have a group. I want to say I've had a group since I had my first head surgery back in 2009. I've had
Hmm.
5 head surgeries, and at that time I was diagnosed with cancer, and they were starting the process. And one of the things that the doctor told me to do was that I had to sign a contract. And the contract stated that he was not a miracle worker, he was not a healer, he was not God, that I had to take accountability and responsibility for my health, and that I had to have a team to come with me along this journey because there are going to be days where it's going to be good, it's going to be bad, or days that I will not be able to hear the information, but won't be able to receive it. So, folks needed to be committed to coming to doctor's appointments with me. And so it's been a long time since 2009 that I have gone through this medical journey and always having that team. The team has changed over the years as my health has changed, but I have always kept a team. And so I have one now as I'm going through this next journey of medical issues. And it's necessary. It truly is necessary for them to check on me just like I check on them. And you made some really great points. Did you do your walk outside. Now that I've never heard of, but we'll add that to our regimen. Hey, go outside and and get, yes, and energized. So I'm gonna, and when we get off the show, I'm gonna wheel out here in my wheelchair and I'm gonna slide forward and put my feet in the grass. Actually, they're cutting the grass right now. So I
That's
have
it.
some fresh grass to run through my toes. Like, yes. And of course, I'm always drinking my water. Got plenty of sippy cups. People know that's my favorite thing.
Right.
I'm always drinking my water. But um, we got another comment here. This is, I've also had five. So this viewer has had fibroids, and someone told me I definitely would need surgery. And I changed a lot of things, and they all went away except for two. And they are very difficult, all kinds of going through that that journey right now?
So, with the issue of fibroids, there are some naturopathic herbs that I've had some of the people who I consult with utilize, and they've gone away totally in the uterus area, in the abdomen area, and not have problems with them coming back. Again, high sugar, and one of the things that I see is high blood intake, specifically if you've had children during the time of your fibroids. The same thing that feeds the child is the same thing that feeds the fibroids. And so your child will be then fighting for stomach space, um, if you would, with the fibroids. And a lot of that's actually why my daughter was born early, because they showed a fibroid that was the size of a needle, but not realizing that the nutrients that go to my daughter in her umbilical cord was also feeding the fibroids. So they were getting bigger. And so as they got bigger, my daughter was fighting for space in her mom's belly. And so it ended up that she was pushed out early, and that's why she was born early, because of fibroids. One of the things that I found out, if you use specific herbs with that, I like to not give those things alive, because I like to look at the person holistically and as a whole. When I say holistically, not the naturopathic medicines, but whole, HWOLE, whole, and then kind of decide what would be the best path for you to kind of get rid of the fibroids. But you're welcome to my emails on the bottom. If you want to just shoot me an email, say, hey, I was on Dr. Kim's show, and I was the person who was talking about fibroids. I would like for you to be in my group cohort to help me see what I can do with my medical team to help me heal these issues. I'd be glad to do that for you.
All right, his email is up here on already on the screen. zeronair1.icloud.com. Oh, it's at iCloud.
At iCloud.com. You and I changed it. I'm not sure what happened, because down below it's scrolling down below, right? And this is what I want to say to you, Dr. Kim. I appreciate you sharing the tumultuous things that you've overcome, but the Bible tells us that no weapon formed against us will prosper. It doesn't say that they can't form. It doesn't say that they can't be shot off. It just says when they get to you, if you're a believer, that they can't prosper. And one of the things that I like about you is that you're openly sharing what you've the challenges that you face and how you've overcome them. And there's somebody who's looking at this today thinking that they're in the middle of something that they can't overcome. I just want to tell you that you can. I
You
affirm
can.
that you can, and I just want you to believe that you can. And God has a message for you. All you have to do is just be his friend. One of the verses, John 15:1 through 17, it says that I know you not if you're a servant, because a servant doeth things blindly. But if you're my friend, you can ask anything you want, and I will give it to you. And so I would suggest in your spiritual lives that you upgrade from being just a servant of God to a friend of God. Oh, you're welcome, Miss Ray. Thank you. Thank you for joining us and listening for Delaware. I love Delaware area, especially the Bay Area. I've spent many days on the Bay just taking time to myself.
And there is his email the correct way. Me trying to
Thank
type
you.
on the fly. So, yep, there we go. We got it. 100 Shades. And then Rolling on the Road. Yep. This has been just a snippet. Y'all see that right there? Just a snippet, the tip of the iceberg on today. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And maybe if we talk to him and we coax him enough, he might come back tomorrow or he might come back, in the coming weeks sooner and we can,
We definitely have the opportunity to see you tomorrow. How about that? Because we want to make sure that the
we,
questions
we, can,
that were asked.
we can do this tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. You're
Oh,
just you're such a kind person to your community, and how could I fail if I know that there's an opening tomorrow and I'm free tomorrow? I mean, as I'm an owner of the company, I have the freedom to move things around. So
yep.
I want to make sure
Y'all
that I
put
take
y'all
advantage.
hands together. Yep. Yes, y'all know. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, this is clapping and sign language.
Yes, yes. I
Yep.
worked at the Maryland School for the Blind with the
You gotta
deaf
have two good
population.
hands. So we clapping. Clap, 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 y'all. Clap, clap, clap. So we are excited that we get to do part two of this. And we will talk more specifically about the medical some of my medical issues that I'm going through right now that we can say, okay, we need to make some decisions. We need to make them pretty quickly. So he gets to be on my team.
I was gonna ask you if you wanted me to add to you because you
he
seem to
gets
be giving to the community, and
he,
I can
he,
give to you at least, to make sure that
he,
I'm a part of your group and a part of, some of the things. We always talk about negative peer pressure, but we never talk about positive peer pressure and how it can lead you to the right path. And so I'm good with positive peer pressure. I'm good with asking a question that will have you answering it to straighten out your path. Not me telling you, you need to do this. No, I'll ask you a question. In the process of you answering it, you've come to the decision that, oh, I need to be over here, not over here. And that's you. And that's how I kind of that's how I holistically help the people who I counsel. That's actually why I decided not to be an MD versus studying to be a doctor of naturopathic medicine with a PhD. Hopefully, sometime this time next year, I'll be finished with that if I get through my dissertation and defend it appropriately. So I'm
oh,
excited about that.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Just even in this conversation, I didn't think that I would be able to do my dissertation, but yeah.
And so now the other thing is I have a person in you who's already been through the process, so I can kind of elbow in you and lean on you a little bit when things are just getting a little tiresome, because it does at times.
It really does. But I tell you that at the end of the day, there's nothing like it, than getting that terminal degree and then to be able to go back, find where my daddy always says the water finds its own level. So this has definitely been, my level, this platform to be able to share all of the experiences that I've had and bring in the experts and say, hey, this works, this does not work, or you need to try to go around this way a little bit. But at the end of the day, you have to be accountable. You do
Yes, you
for
have to be
yourself
accountable.
and for your health. The time is now 2 minutes after the hour.
Oh, we've got to
It
go.
is it is 5:02, and we want to say thank you for tuning in today. That this is just a comma, not a period, not even a semicolon. It's just a
Mm,
comma. And we will see you on tomorrow at 4 p.m. and we will continue the conversation. Get all your friends, you guys get together and think about who you want to be on your team. You need to find at least three people
yes,
because
at least three.
that's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Okay, so that's at
Yeah.
least three. You need to have at least three people that will speak life into you, who are going to pray with you, who will fast with you, who will get on the wall when you need them to be on the wall and really stay up to date, looking up things. What did she says? Oh, thank you. I do appreciate you, really, me. So get all your friends, get your family, get your cousins and them, you know, and tell them tune in and start thinking about who you want to be on your team. And of course, I'm always available to be there. You guys know how to reach me. And to get a word of affirmation, I can always do that for you, is affirm you and where you are, where you're going, and how things are, with some daily affirmations. But we're going to be here tomorrow. So make sure you have your water. Now I need y'all to go outside, do your assignment, and let me know if you did it. Tomorrow when you come on the show, you went outside, took your shoes off, socks off, stockings off, and just run them toes through that grass, touch that sidewalk. It's all right. You remember when we used to be a kid. But I appreciate you guys. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.